It didn't click when I was reading the other article. It didn't really click, but now it clicks. There was some rumors of irregularities in sales reporting or some such under John's watch. I apologize for not being able to find citations. The Merrick case was a real show of Ramsey's character. Yes, it was. If Thomas is a reliable source, talking about Thomas's book, evidently he was terminated in a I guess talking about Merrick, he was terminated in a too hot bit of skullduggery, basically, like some tricks, some trickery, in which they moved him to a new position that was then eliminated by an underling shortly thereafter. Theoretically, this gave Ramsey Politburo-esque deniability. Definitely one of those good news, bad news situations, and I can't blame Merrick for being steamed about it. So essentially, companies can do this, and this is why I say I don't stand up for companies. Companies can do this at their whim, really. When we talk about trickery, and we talk about Politburo-esque, basically, John has this power that he's wielding, and he has control of the system. And so John says, hey, we're just going to move you over here to another division. We're not firing you. We're just going to transfer you into another position. You're going to work over here. But when, Merrick gets into that other position, that other position is told to eliminate his position. And so they do that. And so conversations happen, and it gets framed like this. The framing of those conversations amongst the bigwigs happen to where they say, we're going to move it here, and then we're going to fire him this way. It might look something like, hey, we're happy, or, we're just not happy with your work. Either you shape up or ship out. And the individual, might be doing something, but not good enough. And so therefore, I got to find a way to fire you. And so what I do is I raise the requirements of your position. I raise what's required for your position. And I say, hey, look, we're raising the requirements of the position. And you're like, but I'm already in the position. Oh, but we're raising the requirements. So we're going to basically fire you and allow you to reapply for the position. Reapply for a position that you've changed the requirements on. And so you fired me, and now you're telling me to reapply for a position that you have put out of my qualification range. Well, I mean, you can apply for it if you want to, but it's designed to discourage you to reapply, because they know that, they're not going to, it'd be a waste of time to fill out the application because you don't qualify. And so that's essentially what John Ramsey did. John Ramsey's very, I almost want to say, no, I'm not going to say that. But John Ramsey is very manipulative in that form. He's a businessman. He's got to make this money. And so when somebody's coming in talking about the irregularities in the sales reporting, that those irregularities are important. Why is that? Because you could say you sold $1 billion. You could be the entrepreneur of the year. And then that would make GE want to come in and say, hey, man, we'd like to buy that company. So you're lying about the value of that company. And when somebody comes in and says, I know we're showing $1 billion, but the numbers don't add up. I keep on running these numbers over and over and over again. I'm getting 500 million. And so somebody who may not even be trying to be a whistleblower might come and say, hey, something's off about this. And then John is like, you didn't say the magic word. And he fires Merrick, or gets him fired, but then he wipes his hand of it. But what's interesting is that when talking to Lou Smith, John didn't. He said whatever Lou was asking for, he gave to him. So it's never been confirmed how much Jeff Merrick was paid. Lou Smith mentions that amount to John Ramsey, but John Ramsey never actually confirmed this. Likewise, Merrick also never publicly shared the amount. They would have had a confidentiality agreement in place, which forbids them from mentioning the details of it, including financial payments and what it was about. The most that Merrick would say was that it was for unethical conduct that involved John Ramsey and Don Paul. John wouldn't have received anything when Lockheed Martin sold the company. They had already paid him when they bought it, and they paid him a salary while employed for them. He possibly could have received a severance package. I don't know if he would have received nothing, but maybe a handsome severance package if they were appreciative of what he had done to drive the sales of the company. But I can't see John getting to $2 billion with those same kind of techniques without being caught. I just don't see it. John wouldn't have received anything. They already paid him. The issue with Jeff Merrick, but I think had he actually been a good executive, though, that something tells me that Lockheed didn't trust him. And so that's why he would sort of be ousted or just kind of hit the wall like that, because maybe they didn't trust him. That's my guess. And so when Lockheed sells and that ends, John, you're done. This is a nice point, a nice little severance point for us to go our separate ways, is kind of what it seems like Lockheed was trying to do. And so the issue with Jeff Merrick would have made John look worse to any new company who was looking to see if they wanted to replace him or not. Therefore, this would have given him more cause to be stressed out about his security and upset at Merrick, of course, because now you're making it harder for me to get a new job. And I guess when he took the job in Atlanta, it's a step down because they're probably the only ones willing to take a shot on him and willing to just kind of be like, well, John said this, and we're just going with what John said. The FBI cleared him, and the police department cleared him. Man, you know that they be doing that in the NFL. Star running back, gets into some trouble. Team dismisses him. Star running back, the police, there's still some stuff going on in the court of public opinion, but the police say we don't have, they settled out of court and we don't have enough evidence or whatever they say. And another team comes and picks him up and says, well, we're working with him and we're talking to him, and he's willing to, accept what he's done and apologize. And so, and they pick him up. And so that seems to be what the case was with John Ramsey. John hit $1 billion in revenue, which was a great feat for a business that was only 5 years old. However, it didn't have good profit margins, according to the articles that wrote about the details of the transaction when Access Graphics was sold. John was 53 years old. Would he have found another similar job at that age and with the .com bubble bursts happening around the corner is the question. Probably not, because you're not going to get a job anyway with the .com bubble. You're not going to get a good job anyway. Probably not going to be no hiring. But knowing you and everything that's going on around you, the unaliving of your daughter, the shadiness with the business, man, AG not wanting to keep you on, or I'm sorry, AG, but Lockheed Martin not wanting to keep you on, and GE not wanting to keep you on. That's three that's three strikes. Kind of skipping over all of this. The same 118 we think about as the amount of JR's bonus, kind of talking about what was the amount that they gave Merrick. So if Merrick was in fact seeking 118 grand, then clearly he was being set up, because the 118K ransom amount is obviously trying to send some sort of message or make a statement. It makes more sense from that point of view than someone knowing John's bonus and being jealous of it. Why not ask for more? An intruder or an intruder seeing a pay stub. I just want to make sure. I don't know if this is the end of what I've highlighted before I go into this next part. Okay, it is. I think I saw it somewhere else, but essentially the point that I'm about to make is that Lou Smith and John, and I thought it was going to be up higher, but Lou Smith, and then maybe it's in another one and we'll talk about it then. Lou Smith was asking John, possibly about this Jeff Merrick case. And John did describe Jeff as some sort of disgruntled employee or something like that. Or John was very he tried to come off very nonchalant. Oh, there's this guy, he had a problem with us, and it was what it was, whatever, so on and so forth. And that's the kind of way that he expressed it. And he made it seem like Jeff was asking for $250,000 severance, $250,000 severance, but not all of that, if I'm understanding correctly, not all of that money needed to be it didn't all have to be in cash. It could have been in terms of other benefits. We're going to give you exit counseling, and we're going to give you $118,000, but we're also going to give you, exit counseling. We're going to give you this for a plus up amount and stuff like that for taxes or what have you. But it's $118,000. But let's see here how this would have factored into the ransom note. Because if I put $118,000 in the ransom note, and we assume that Merrick was seeking $118,000, and Merrick comes in, and Merrick sneaks into John. Merrick has a motive. He sneaks into John and Patsy's house, and he's not going for Burke. He's going straight for JonBenet. And as he writes the ransom note to throw people off of his trail, and this goes along with the intruder theory, but I don't think the intruder theory was heavy on Merrick. I think they were heavy on other people. And I'm not here to criticize that on this episode, but I'm just saying, Merrick, being a rookie criminal, would have slipped up and said, 118, just to kind of maybe toy around with John, because maybe John would have known what it meant, but maybe nobody else would at the time. But clearly other people found out. So if Merrick was the one behind this, that would have been ignorant for Merrick to do that. Why would Merrick be so obvious as to say $118,000? Number one. Number two, if the cops tapped the phone, right, they would just know that it was Merrick. They would know it was him. They would track him down. What if they come up with some big elaborate scheme? Why would Merrick risk his career? For what? Merrick didn't do anything wrong. Like, why would he risk his career to kidnap your daughter? For what? He doesn't need to. And only ask for $118,000 that you're going to give him anyway. You're going to give me that severance anyway. So why would I write a note and be like, hey, give me that $118,000. I'm going to take your daughter. Why would Merrick do that? And the fact that John kept going with this bull crap, like, John, that's not going to hold weight. Of course, the cops have to investigate and they have to scrutinize, or otherwise people are going to criticize them. Let John tell it. They're not looking into anyone that he told them to, but they were. You just kept repeating the same You just kept repeating the same people. The cops were looking, but you just kept repeating the same people. John, we've already looked at him. He doesn't fit the timeline. He doesn't fit the facts of the case on what we know. And it just doesn't make it anything on him would be circumstantial. But John just gonna repeat it. So I think this shows, man, John's got some funny stuff up his sleeve, man. Just some really weird stuff. Manipulative, right? I don't know if I'm a psychopath yet, but manipulative, narcissistic in a way. shady, dishonest, man, haughty, prideful, vain, caught up in all of that. This is John, and to some extent, birds of a feather flock together. I gotta say, Patsy. Birds of a feather flock together, man. I dang near gotta call out Perk. And I know he's only 9-10 at the time. Gotta call him out because they're pouring that into him. Man, some stuff I was reading about JonBenet. We're gonna talk about it. But you know, JonBenet said JonBenet was at the dinner party or at the luncheon, one of the two. And I don't know if it was at the dinner party, but she was crying because she said she didn't feel pretty. The girl was 6. What would give her the thought that she's not pretty? Where would she get that from? Vanity. You've taught these kids vanity. And I dang near want to say, not only vanity, but you've taught these kids a certain level of greed. And you frame the world in a very unrealistic way. If we talk about privileged kids, I think that John and Patsy really were raising privileged kids that were out of touch with society. And I'm not saying that to criticize the children, but I'm saying that sometimes the way that you raise these kids, Erickson's stages of development as a caretaker, the way that you raise these kids at early stages and on up, that has a profound impact on them and the way they perceive the world for the rest of their life. Whether they are consciously aware of that or not. And I think that Patsy was like, let the good times roll. Nothing's ever going to change. John had pressure to keep that up. And sometimes the attitudes that flow in that house of the entitlement and the vanity can lead people to do certain things that are outside of the box. So, and I think it all came down from John, you know, in the way that he handled business. And I think there are very much similarities in how the investigation was sort of mismanaged, and the way that in terms of shadiness from the Ramseys, and the same level of shadiness and the same level of sort of shrouded mystery that John and Patsy are so good at creating. So that's the video, and going to do some more research. But until next time, take it easy.